Wow, it's almost time for our straw poll results. And before we do, there are a number of folks that I would like to express my appreciation to for making this conference a big success. I'll start out with the folks here at DePenn Harris. They did a wonderful job with all of our meals. You may have noticed if you stayed overnight, they've renovated most of the sleeping rooms and more renovations are coming up. And you may not see it, but we throw a lot of curveballs at them over the course of 3 days, and they take it in good humor, and they make adjustments so that your experience here goes smoothly. Would like to express appreciation to all of the folks at Central Penn Productions in the back. They did all the audio and video. And again, despite all the changes that we throw at them, they get it done. Our appreciation to the Pennsylvania Cable Network and all their folks who were here. This conference aired live. You may want to check their listings. They frequently re-air the conference a time or two afterward. Also would like to thank a number of people who helped us out. My wife Carol, who assists us. Kelly Davis, Scott's wife, and his mother and father took care of all the registration tables and all that sort of thing. Danny Mosel and Everett Hamilton, they did a lot of work for us out there as well. And can we have one more round of applause? The real heart of the conference are our speakers and panelists. I think they did an outstanding job. Can we give them a round of applause? And of course, we could not put on the conference without Scott Davis. And he's going to come out now, and my appreciation to Scott for what we went through the last couple of weeks. He hung in there with us, made things run smoothly. And now, Scott Davis has straw poll results. Scott?
Wow, what an event. What an amazing last 3 days. Like Loman said, there's a million thanks to go around. From the staff of the hotel, to the speakers, to each and every one of you. To everyone that took the straw poll, a huge thank you. To my wife, who helped me tabulate, as she's a lot better with Excel and the numbers than I will ever be. To Mark, who helps the spell check at the last minute to make sure I only spell 6 or 7 things wrong. And everyone that was over there volunteering to help with the straw poll. So let's get into the results. 3,453 ballots were collected over the last 12 years. The Pennsylvania straw poll started 12 years ago. And we have made it a fixture of the Pennsylvania Leadership Conference. A couple key points. 240 ballots collected from Thursday afternoon through Saturday today. We use voter identification. Same way when you vote and your election should be done, right? When you go to vote, we scan your badge, we verify, and then you go up to a random machine and you vote. We validate you only vote one time. One time. We had 10 states represented this year. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, New York, Texas, Florida, like the list goes on and on. We're not just a conference for Pennsylvania citizens. We truly do carry a national audience and scale. One day we will have the entire state covered in red. And this is the homework assignment I give every year. Go back and talk to your neighbors. Encourage them to come join us. Because once you get a taste of liberty, you come back year after year. And you'll see that in an upcoming number. But take a look at the counties that are in white. Those are the counties we need to target. We are growing. 43 out of 67 Pennsylvania counties were represented here at the conference. And probably even more, you just didn't take the straw poll. About the audience. 59% male, 40% females took the poll.
Where is she?
Age, 66 to 74 years old, 27% was the majority of the poll takers. We had 2% under 17. I saw a number of youth, tomorrow's leaders. Thank you to the parents that choose to bring their children. or grandchildren in case of the 75 plus, which represented 9% of the straw poll. History, 42%. This is your second to fifth conference with the Pennsylvania Leadership Conference. 22% of you said it's your first time. And next year, those will be 2 to 5 years. 20% or 4% of you said you've been here more than 20 times. I added that one this year. How would you classify your political ideology? Now, this is a tough one, and everyone always gives me, I don't like your answers, everything along the lines, but fiscal conservative, 42%, social conservative, 23%, traditionalist, libertarian, and you can see even moderates. And there is every year one liberal. I don't know how they sneak through the door, or if it's just one of Lohman's sons playing a trick. Probably that. But one year I'm going to put an Easter egg in that if you answer liberal, an alarm goes off so we can figure this out. Getting into the Commonwealth issues. Should public schools in Pennsylvania be required to post a detailed curriculum online? This is a question I asked last year, and I kept it in because my children are going through it. And I still believe education systems are becoming more of an indoctrination than anything else. It should be about teaching the basics, educating our youth so they can be successful in life. So I kept this question in here again, and 85% of us strongly agree, whereas 1% strongly disagreed. Probably that one person. An interesting conversation I had around this one this year was the redefinitions of terms. School districts are now starting to redefine what curriculum means. Is it an outline, or is it actually what you're teaching? Well, that's the trick, I guess, almost, is we have to pay attention not just the language, but how it's being defined in the legalese aspects anymore. And that was a really interesting conversation, and it makes me wonder if I have to change the question if we ask it next year. Do you think Pennsylvania governments should be, or PA local governments should be empowered to declare themselves a sanctuary or just straight up ignore laws that they don't like? This comes into, should Philadelphia choose to say, hey, we're sanctuary, we're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that? 86% of you believe yes. State and federal law should be the law. If you want to create a law that's not already a state law, go ahead, create an ordinance. But if there is a state law, a federal law that says you have to report X, you have to do this, do it. I think we all can agree to that. Who are you supporting for Attorney General? Are any of the Attorney General candidates still here? They're all long gone, so, all right. Dave Sunday, 63%. Craig Williams, 21%. So if someone has Dave's call, shoot him a text message. Undecided, 16%. So there's still some people that are unsure. A lot of the write-ins were just along the lines of, I don't know them enough yet. So hopefully after this weekend, they learned about them a little bit more. What is the most important issue facing the Pennsylvania General Assembly in 2024? Budget, election integrity. We still don't have complete faith and trust in our elections. Coming as a former judge of elections and a duly elected constable, I have questions even because not every ballot comes through my election office. Half of the ones that come in to vote I see. The ones that are mailed in never come to us. They aren't touched by us anymore. Can't be challenged by the local people. Immigration, that's 17%. Budget, 13%. Right to life, 9%. Approval ratings. This is what you all came for, right? You want to know how everyone's doing? Stacey Garrity. This is on a scale of 5, so this is the average, but 4.3 out of 5 average. She's doing a great job. Tim DeFore, 4.02. The House of Representatives. This is where it starts to get interesting. 2.52. We got to get the House back. PA Senate, 3.21. The Supreme Court, 1.9. You guys see the direction this is going, right? 1.39. Now, this is an interesting one. And before I hit the next button, there has been more comments from John Fetterman that align more with us lately than I ever would have believed. 1.69. Robert Casey. I asked kind of an early predictor, who would you like to see for governor in 2026? I don't know if Stacey is still in the room, but Stacey Garrity had 7% of those votes. This was a complete write-in. I gave a 0 option. I was expecting Ronald McDonald, Santa Clauses, Loman Henry. Oh, Loman Henry is up there. But you can kind of see the rest. These are ones that people took the time optionally to write in while they were taking the straw poll. They didn't have to write a name. They could choose to skip it. They could choose not to go through that. But Stacey Garrity, Doug Mastriano, Scott Perry, Kristen Phillips Hill were the top 4. Hopefully we see some of those names actually announce that they're running for governor. Social issues. In your opinion, do you believe your local community is safer or more dangerous than it was 5 years ago? So the numbers in blue were last year's. The numbers in red are this year. 22% last year thought it was more dangerous. 40% this year. That's huge. Even going the whole way to safer, less people feel it's safer today, 6 to 4%. Have you ever felt personally or professionally threatened and or intimidated because of your political beliefs? 83% of us felt threatened or intimidated in some way. In some way. This was on a scale of like 5 as well, but in some way, it wasn't just a no. Do you find yourself limiting or editing your social media posts to avoid cancel culture? So the 40% is sometimes, depending on the topic. I think we all should filter ourselves to a degree some way. But if you find yourself sitting there saying, oh, I really want to post this, but wow, it's really insensitive. Like, I know one of my Democrat friends are going to hate me for posting this or unfriend me. Like, that's that mentality. 25% more often than I should. But 35 of us, I don't care. I'm going to post what I post. Right? What is the most serious component regarding the border crisis? I think we know. Potential terrorists entering the U.S. We have no idea who's crossing those borders, who's crossing either of the borders. The Canadian border with the U.S. is almost just as porous. It's just not being covered. 31% undermining the rule of law, flow of drugs, impact on border communities. And let's be honest, thanks to what Texas and Florida and some of those other states are doing, every state is a border state. It's not just a Texas problem or an Arizona problem. Will your children grow up to be better, worse, or about the same as you were? 66% felt they were going to be worse off. That's roughly in line with where we were last year, which was 67%. 10% last year, 6% this year feel they're going to be better off. So that number has come down. And 16% of those that took the vote don't have kids yet. In your opinion, do you trust the security of the nation's elections? I think we know because earlier we had, that was one of the big issues. So this was on an average, looking at the total number on that scale of 1 to 5. So roughly 1.9 or less than 2 out of 5 people are going to feel that the elections aren't trustworthy. Less than 2 people out of the 5. That's 1 person at each one of your tables, if not 2. Feel the security or the elections can be trusted. Let's get into the top 3 issues facing the nation: economy, government spending, illegal immigration. The additional issues, if you want to go, size of government. Joe Biden, 7%. That is a huge issue facing the nation. Right to life, Federal Reserve policies, gas prices, healthcare, Title IX women's sports, war on terrorism, and the Russia-Ukraine wars. The U.S. has hit its debt limit. We should lower the debt ceiling and make cuts across the board. This is an important question. I'm fiscal conservative. I believe you have to spend what you make, and you shouldn't just go on a wild spending spree whenever you feel like it. But you can see 23% spending reform included. Debt limit should not be raised. Raise the debt limit without conditions. I mean, that's really what we're doing anymore. What is it? Every 90 days, 120 days, it's on the news. It's like, oh, we're going to shut down the government if it's not raised another $1 trillion. Like, it's just ongoing. We have to hold our feet in the sand and say we have to stop the bleeding. What do you think are the top 3 causes of the current continued high rate of inflation? Government overspending, Biden administration policies, or an increase in money supply. Really, inflation is, increase in money supply. Government overspending leads to the creation of the money, and well, it's the policies that lead it all. The approval ratings. House of Representatives in the United States, 2.64. U.S. Senate, 1.93. Supreme Court, 3.61. Kamala Harris. I had to ask. There is no 0, so 1 is the lowest score you can get. She's really close. President Joe Biden, 1.07. He beat her. Looking at the 2026 election, do you think Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee for president on election day? A lot of things can happen. You have the convention, and there's a lot of months in here. 68 of those that took the poll believe Joe Biden will be the candidate on the general election day. 32% of us said no. Now here's an interesting one. I added the next question, so only 32% got the next question. Because if you didn't think Joe was going to be the candidate, I asked who it will be. But if you said yes, you didn't see this one. Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, Robert Kennedy Jr., Kamala Harris, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro. Can we get rid of him? Pete, Bernie, Andy. Oh, even Hillary's on here. If Donald Trump were to be elected president in November, do you think he would do a better job or a worse job than he did the first time? More than 4 out of every 5 of us feel he's going to do a better job. Probably the question everybody's waiting for. Who should President Trump pick as vice president? I'm not available, but Ron DeSantis, Sarah Huckabee Sanders took those at 9%. Tulsi Gabbard, Ben Carson, Nikki Haley, J.D. Vance. Ron Paul had 3%. So these are the runner-ups. Tricked you. In the running, Vivek and Tim Scott were the top 2 choices, both with 13%. Kristi Noem came in 3rd at 12%. The top three. With that, I do want to thank everyone for coming to the Pennsylvania Leadership Conference. We hope to see you again next year. Please, when you get here, please take the straw poll, and you need to know the dates. So pull out your phones, put it on your calendars, RSVP already, April 3rd through April 5th, 2025. We will see you here at the Penn Harris Hotel. Thank you.